Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk here at Black Hat USA in beautiful Las Vegas. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading, and joining us now is Michael-Angelo Zummo, North American Threat Intelligence Manager with Cybersixgill. Zummo, thanks for joining us on the Dark Reading News Desk this morning. Appreciate you doing this. For some inexplicable reason, we're hearing a lot about AI recently. In fact, it's starting to feel like it's all we're hearing about in some respects. Talk about what you're hearing from customers, their questions, their concerns, their ideas about the use of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear a lot of concern, but also excitement at the same time. When it comes to the concerns, I think a lot of people, especially in threat intelligence, are worried about AI hallucinations, giving them false answers, basically. When it comes for threat intel analysts that are using AI to help them with their day-to-day, they need to be able to make sure that they're double checking and verifying everything that AI provides them with, instead of just reporting on something that might be completely false. But on the other hand, a lot of people are excited because even for myself, it helps streamline a lot of the tasks that we do, reporting, or even just understanding different types of threats that we come across. I think it's been very helpful there.
The potential seems really rich, but also, not to put too fine a point on it, like super transformative.
Right.
With that in mind, we're also having to balance the increased capabilities it gives us, but the problem is those same capabilities go to bad actors,
Right.
and threat attackers. How are we supposed to navigate this seeming contradiction, and whether this technology is a blessing or a curse?
It's definitely a challenge, and I think the developers have to tackle that and make sure they have the responsibility to put those safeguards in place so that threat actors can't abuse these types of systems. That being said, a threat actor, similar to the way I would use it, whereas I could do things like build a security lab at home and my AI as my co-pilot to walk me through those steps. A threat actor could do the same thing to do their research or reconnaissance on a target, and using open source tools like Nmap. Hey, walk me through how to ping this endpoint, trying to figure out what vulnerabilities might exist there or something like that. So it's definitely a challenge, but fortunately, again, for the good guys, we can also use it to our advantage and help track these threat actors, identify who their targets might be based on recent trends. But yeah, it's probably easier said than done, but I have faith in it.
Okay. Speaking of use cases, can you talk about some of the ways that your own customers are using AI in ways that may be surprising or innovative?
Yeah, I mean, the most common theme I hear today is a lot of customers are using it to help plan. For example, we put out a e-hunting threat book, a threat hunting ebook, I'm sorry, where we walk our users through steps of how to perform an efficient threat hunt. And I think users are using AI in a similar way to help them plan and identify what are their priority intel requirements and how do they answer those requirements by coming up with different steps and stages that they can investigate. So I think that's really a unique feature of AI to help threat intel analysts approach their task, but also they're able to understand the different types of threats that they come across that they might not have a lot of familiarity with.
Okay. Cybersixgill has recently launched its own generative AI capability, Cybersixgill IQ. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's something that I use every day now, and I'm pretty excited about it. Whereas, it's our own generative AI trained on the data that we're collecting, deep and dark web data, places like forums, marketplaces, initial access brokers, where threat actors are selling data, selling access to networks. It's also looking at clear web stuff, OSINT type sources, and even messaging platforms. And what we're able to do now is help analysts understand the trends and what threat actors are doing in their day-to-day and get ahead of those attacks rather than trying to sift through data themselves manually and try and keep up with all the traffic, essentially.
So that the automating aspects of AI are really coming to bear in the threat intel space, it sounds like.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's really getting us a step ahead of these threats and just making us more proactive and better defend our organizations.
Are there some unique capabilities with regard to Cybersixgill IQ?
Yeah, some of the uniqueness, again, other than the data that it's trained on for us, our data is completely unique and it's very hard to come by. But some of the ways that are really impactful, again, it summarizes the type of intel that we come across. And for the inexperienced threat intel analysts that may have expertise in a certain domain, maybe they come across a different type of attack, like a fraudulent attack, and they don't have much expertise there. Our AI is able to help them understand those threats quickly and then pass it on to the appropriate person for remediation. And I think that's really impactful, and it's going to help security teams a lot.
I'm sure you get this question fairly frequently from both customers and potential customers, but if I'm thinking about whether AI is appropriate for my SOC, for my security team, what sorts of questions should these kinds of folks be asking themselves about the technology?
Well, first off, the validity of it, right? That the companies that are offering these types of AIs need to make sure that the AI is not hallucinating and, again, giving false answers where teams might make mistakes because of it or make the wrong choice because of it. So they definitely need to be confident in the AI's capabilities, which we're always researching ours, making sure that it is doing the right thing. And if it just doesn't know the answer, it tells you we don't know. And it's something that we can work on together. Additionally, they need to make sure that the data is protected. We've heard about some issues with data being exposed through these different AI platforms. So the SOC is always working with sensitive data. They need to make sure it's protected and nobody else is getting access to the questions that they're asking or the data that it's analyzing.
Well, Zummo, thanks very much for the update on where we stand with AI, its peril and its promise. Really appreciate you joining us here on News Desk today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with Michael-Angelo Zummo, North American Threat Intelligence Manager with Cybersixgill. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment.